Right. I think we are live. Happy Friday to everybody. This is Markose here in the building, representing Oort, and I got my good buddy George from Blockchain DXB. Is it about to be that time? Bitcoin, 100K. What's the word on the street, sir?
Absolutely. I mean, see, look, Marcus, I never record any of my podcast episodes, or technically, I don't even work on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but this might be the very first time. And the reason being is there's a very high possibility that the price of Bitcoin could actually cross the $100,000 mark. Now, earlier today, at around about 4 o'clock in the morning Gulf Standard Time, the price was around at $99,431. And this is purely via CoinMarketCap, but it has marginally gone down. So, I wouldn't be surprised over the next few days. There is a very high possibility that the price of Bitcoin could actually cross the $100,000 mark. So, definitely crazy and interesting time ahead, isn't it?
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. I know, because like yesterday I just with some folks, and I mean, just hearing, folks having these different speculations and stuff. So definitely going to cross it. Now we're going to have this altcoin season. You have that, your traditional cycle from Bitcoin to Ethereum to large caps to altcoins, and then to the micro caps but I guess but the main question that we both got to talk about is that we will have a bull run. Now the question is, how long will be this bull run? That's what we need to talk about. I think this is where I would want folks. You're tuning here on the Unfiltered chat. Everybody else is talking about hitting 100K, which is good. I love it. I love it. But again, I think we need to have this conversation. How long this bull run is going to be? Because this is our moment of opportunity. Many of us have been in the trenches. We've been some of us have been underwater. And I know some folks we know they've been hurting and stuff. And also we also have some soldiers out there who have bought in the dip. They've been, consolidating, accumulating. And now this is your moment to rise and shine. So you know what it is, man. And hey, we got Milton in the building. Yes, hey, USA is on fire. Oh man, yeah. I can imagine, man. I can imagine. Here in DXB, I mean, folks are planning to have 100K Bitcoin party, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty much sure that is definitely going to happen. Now, you asked a very interesting question, Marcus, as to how long will the bull run last. The only thing I can say is, all our price predictions are 100% right 50% of the time. Now, I do think, and this year there were 3 specific events which I was definitely keeping an eye on. The first one is the spot Bitcoin ETF. The second one was the Bitcoin halving, and the third one was the US elections. So the reason as to why the price of Bitcoin is popping up to the moon, I think it is only because of President Donald Trump getting reelected, isn't it? So I call it as the Trump effect. And because of that, I do envision the prices of Bitcoin as well as a lot of other cryptocurrencies to be pumping up. But that thing in mind, there are a couple of key dates we need to be aware of as well. The first one is the FOMC meeting. And the next FOMC meeting, Marcus, we talked about this in the previous 2 episodes as well, is actually taking place between the 9th and the 10th of December. Me personally, I do feel whenever there is an FOMC meeting, whether Jerome Powell reduces the interest rate, keeps it the same or increases it, there is always price volatility a few days before that. So what I'd really recommend our listeners to do is, go to the Federal Reserve Board website. There is an official calendar. They know, well in advance when he's going to be making an announcement. Now on the 10th of December is when he'll be going and making a decision. Most likely he'll just keep the interest rate the same. If he keeps the interest rate the same, it is definitely good. It is definitely going to be beneficial for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I don't see any reason as to why he'll go ahead and increase the interest rate. If let's say he reduces the interest rate like he did last time by 25 basis points, it is going to be even better. I wouldn't be surprised, by year end, Bitcoin might even cross the $125,000 mark. I think Milton has also mentioned about Bitcoin Reserve. So,
yes, sir, he did. Thank you, Milton. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now there is a bit or teeny tiny confusion regarding Bitcoin Reserve. Now President Donald Trump very crystal clearly said that he's going to have something called as a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Now what
Yeah,
Bitcoin Strategic Reserve is, whatever Bitcoin the United States of America has, he's going to make sure that he's not going to sell it. But there are
yeah,
different interpretations of Bitcoin Reserve. Now, in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast, one of the presidential candidate from Poland, I think he's up for elections next year, he said he wants to have a Bitcoin reserve, but he wants to go out and buy Bitcoin and then
yeah.
put it in reserve. Something similar to what President Nayib Bukele has done. Or rather, I think he's,
Mm,
isn't it? He's on the verge
yeah.
of Bitcoin every day. So that is a Bitcoin reserve where the president is making a decision to go out and buy Bitcoin and then put it as a reserve. President Donald Trump is not making that decision. What he said, whatever Bitcoin is there, he's going to make sure that he's not going to sell it, which I think is a genius move because that way, legally he's safe. He'll get everyone on board as well. And that possibly is the right thing to do. And I'm pretty much sure it is David Bailey who's advised him on that. So that is Bitcoin
Mhm.
Strategic Reserve. So I'm pretty much sure Germany and other countries will be following a similar pursuit as well, regarding the
Yeah,
Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Now, one question that you asked, Marcos, that is, how long this bull run could continue. Now, look, the US elections were definitely not good for the left leaning Biden administration. And I'm not sure if you've seen the recent news since the last
yeah.
24 to 48 hours. He has actually told Ukraine to go to launch missiles. So, are we heading into World War III or nuclear war? External
I,
factors.
I,
Well,
yeah.
I think that
Sorry.
would.
My apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I guess for me, it's like I guess I would say that we are already
Yep.
in a sense. I guess because again, like you know, the, we have been here for decades. Conflicts, they're not getting resolved. They're getting managed, really. So, um, so and also at the same time too, I'm sure some of our American colleagues and stuff are aware that there is a U.S. presence. Now they don't call them U.S. soldiers, U.S. Marines. They're
Yep.
advisors. Advisor. I mean, like, man, did they take the cue from the Web3 space? I don't know. Like anybody can be an advisor or something like that. So, um, it is interesting to see the situation and also now what the Russians have. I'm not sure if that's true or not, if they did send the ICBM and stuff, but I don't know. It's still not clear. But then again, it is funny. There's this guy I follow, Dr. Gerald Salente. He started the Trends Research Institute, which is based in Kingston, New York. All right, so he owns like three of the most valuable U.S. revolutionary houses. So this guy's a staunch American, um, strong Italian roots. He's been covering trends. He did come on the Oprah show, but after that, I
Mhm.
mean, he was speaking truth, and he speaks three languages: English, Italian, and third languages. He speaks fire, right? So when you speak the truth, not everybody's gonna like it. So but definitely like he has done some great research, and one of the statements he said that like if these guys if they lose, they will definitely put us to war and put us to war. And it's not just Americans who are going to be at war. A lot of
Yep.
other countries too, whether they're part of the Western Alliance, the BRIC Alliance, or the non-alignment movement, which is actually started by India. But it's kind of funny to see the situation. But I'll grant that India has been able to maintain this neutrality in a sense between the West, with Russia, and other participants. So it is quite an interesting time, George. Very interesting time, sir.
And interesting in not so good way as well, because if things do escalate, I do feel that the
I know.
price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will drastically dry down. Now, in theory, Bitcoin should be hedged against inflation, and historically, it has never happened. So, whenever the CPI number goes up, the price of Bitcoin goes down, and vice versa. So, I think it might take at least a couple of decades' time where we see the exact opposite effect. Let's say if the inflation goes up, that would be the time when the price of Bitcoin should also be pumping up, because the whole idea is that Bitcoin is an alternative form of money, a currency. Let's go ahead and ditch the US dollar. Now, Milton has put out a really interesting comment. He said that there's no plausible custody solution for government and central banks and enterprises. I'm hoping he's referring that with reference to Bitcoin. With reference to Bitcoin, you don't need a custodial solution. So let's say if the United States of America has 200,000 Bitcoin, what they can do is they can just put it in a cold storage, a hard wallet, and the private keys, that could be shared in an MPC, a multi-computational wallet, where let's say the president has a part of the private key, maybe it is the Secretary of State, maybe it is Joe Biden. Imagine Joe Biden having the keys, man. That'd be absolutely wicked and wild, isn't it?
I'm cool with it. I'm like, all right, Joe, baby, go for it, man.
Yeah, so I think it would be better not to have a custodial solution, let's say like, Coinbase or a centralized exchange. Just have it here in a cold storage. That would be the idea. And that I do think is what the current plan is with the Bitcoin that exists with the United States of America. And that's the right way of doing it as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than having, let's say, a centralized exchange to have it.
Yeah. No, just to kind of sort of agree with your point, I do remember Jason Lowery. He wrote the book called The Soft War. It's about, Bitcoin as sort of like a national asset. Let me see, because I've been trying to go on Amazon, couldn't get this book. But let me see if I can share this to you, because it is an interesting book, because Jason Lowery, he is, the member of the United States Space Force. So he has written this book about how it's called Soft War. It's called, yes. Let me just share this, so that way to make sure that, you guys know that, hey, I'm talking about real stuff. We are talking about real things. Let me see. All right. Let me see. All right. Can you see my Amazon.ae screen?
Yeah, software. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So do the book. Yeah. So I'll just kind of read it. Major Jason P. Lowery. So he wrote this book, Software, a novel theory on power projection and the national strategic significance of Bitcoin. So this is a really interesting book, and the DOD has actually kind of banned him to present, to sell this book and stuff, for various reasons. So, it's a really interesting scenario how he's using the dynamic, he summarizes the dynamics of the power projection in human society using Bitcoin. Because especially how this emerging proof of work, in a sense, it is a signal in a noisy place, because you're spending energy to protect your assets and stuff. It's similar to how do you say in war, right? It's like if you're trying to defend yourself, you're putting energy into building aircraft carriers and battle cruisers and weapons and stuff. So those require energy. So that is how that's how we're able to project our strength and stuff. So it's really quite an interesting take. So yeah, just hold on, sorry. Done. Okay. So I think it's I think it's interesting. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing which I wanted to say is, let's say, which could drive down the price of Bitcoin instantly is possibly another assassination attempt on President Donald Trump. If it is a bit serious, news such as this will drastically drop down the price of Bitcoin, isn't it? This goes back to your question as to how long will, the bull run last. Now, historically, Markos, December has always been a good month for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and in January is when the prices tend to fall down. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in January, because that is when President Donald Trump gets officially sworn in as the president. Now, Markos, at the Bitcoin Nashville event, he did actually state on the very first day, Gary Gensler would be fired. Like it or not, promises made.
You're going to fire G, baby? What? He's got a 5G, baby?
No, he's resigned. Gary Gensler has resigned.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So he's resigned, and he's put out a really interesting post via Twitter that on January 20th, 2025, I will be stepping down as the SEC Gov Chair. Now, I tend to follow US politics. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just want to say, I'm sorry, before you proceed, just want to make a comment about Gary Gensler. Now, first off, like, you know, I know everyone's thinking it's great. Oh, great, yeah, he's resigning, all that stuff. No, he should be freaking resigning. This guy should be going to jail. First of all, for 6 years, he has, put a lot of bullshit. He has crossed a lot of lines, as the head of the SEC. And he has also, pushed, pushed back the development of the crypto, the blockchain, and also and the emerging tech industry, like many years behind, maybe even also 1 or 2 generations behind as well. I mean, this guy doesn't deserve to freaking resign. He should be going to jail. He should be prosecuted. Seriously, this is not, and this is where, like, I know a lot of politicians and all, like, they're going to play this game, but honestly, this guy deserves it because he has screwed a lot of Americans in a, how do you say, achieving great success and also have a lead. But I don't know. This is where I have to agree with my this buddy of mine from Sir Crypto Tips and his wife Heidi. She's the I forgot her name, crypto handle. But they run this show called Learning Crypto. She's been early, like what, 2012, 2013. Really amazing couple. They have renounced their American citizenship, but they have been in Bitcoin for a long time. So really great insights, and also how they, especially how both of them, husband and wife, how they break down, Bitcoin and like Monero and other large caps and stuff. So really insightful stuff. So they said, I agree with them. Like Gary Gensler not only does have to resign, this dude needs to go to jail. I'm sorry, right? Like this is a push because like how many of our friends got hurt? How many of people got hurt? Yeah, because this freaking guy. This is not enough. We shouldn't be like, oh yeah, he's resigning. No, like go after him, right? Because do unto others before they go to do unto you. So, anyways, and that's my spiel. But anyhow, my apologies. I need to curb my enthusiasm. So, yeah, please go on.
I agree to 80% of what you said. Especially with what he did with the FTX thing, that is definitely not right. I think the big problem, Marcus, with Gary Gensler is that he's overstepping what he's supposed to do. Because when you talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, ideally speaking, it does not fall under the SEC. It falls more under CFTC. So that is the reason why people are upset. Marcus, I've always said this. Me personally, I'm not a fan of his political affiliations, which he has used in the past. But when you talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, he is the OG of Bitcoin. You could confidently state that Gary Gensler is one of the OG of Bitcoin. He knows pretty much everything about blockchain technology. He was a professor at MIT talking about blockchain technology. Now, a lot of people, particularly from the cryptocurrency space, don't like him because, if you actually understand what he's saying, as much as I dislike his political affiliations, whatever he's saying does make a lot of sense. Like he asked Coinbase not to have staking as a service, which makes sense because when you have staking as a service, there should be Ethereum as a protocol that should offer staking as a service. What Coinbase is doing is they are packaging something, offering staking as a service, whatever interest they get. Coinbase takes that interest, and they can do that. There's no problem in doing that, but they have to register with the SEC first. Now, the big problem is at a macro level, they are saying that SEC does not have to take care of that. It is the CFTC who has to go and ask for the regulation. But anyways, the good news is that he is gone, and President Donald Trump most likely will be appointing a lady called Teresa Godicullion, who is a former SEC attorney and blockchain law expert as well. And I believe she has represented a lot of blockchain companies against the US Security and Exchange Commission. and she's a very, very strong pro-crypto candidate. And hopefully, President Donald Trump will actually make the announcement by the 28th of November, which is, I believe, Thanksgiving. So, that is a really, really interesting date. Now, Milton has also asked a question, which I kind of agree to it. He's asked, how can a president or 20 people even have a piece of paper, and hold the nation's wealth and keep everything digital, which is still at risk with quantum computing? Now, Milton, that's the right way of keeping your private keys. You can't keep or sell your Bitcoin with a custodial exchange, let's say with a centralized exchange, because not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Regarding quantum computing, I think you're at least maybe 2 decades away for quantum computing to go there and break the private keys. Now, in order to break...
I know like some people debate on the quantum computing, like the growth, because the reason I asked is like I've been in AMA, like there's some folks who are working on quantum and stuff, which is interesting. But and they're saying about like 5 years, okay, which will be interesting. But again, it's still I guess, debatable. But we'll see though. But it is a good point to always think about, future risks and also opportunities too when it comes to quantum computing and AI. So just want to chime in there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it did make a very valid point that seems very centralized, which I kind of agree to it as well, because when you talk about if a country is having Bitcoin strategic
it is a government, so yeah.
It is the government, which will have the private keys, and it could be, let's say, in one person's hand. Other thing I often think about is, look, Markose, Michael Saylor.
I disagree with the government, so I'm a political I'm a kind of like an anarchist. So like, I don't really trust the government, but when it comes to these nation states, they will keep it centralized. It's just the nature of these kinds of folks. So, but
what about, let's say, Michael Saylor? I mean, MicroStrategy has got, I think, over 220,000 Bitcoin, or maybe even more than that. He has it in, self-custodial wallet. What happens, let's say, I hate saying this, what if Michael Saylor were to pass away? Do you think that's going to impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, even though the Bitcoins are 100% safe? Let's say.
Okay. But quick question though, because when it comes to Michael Saylor, like, because as far as I understand, in the top 10 list, because see, Michael Saylor, his Bitcoins, is it with him, or you're talking about it's with MicroStrategy, right? It's under MicroStrategy, right?
Correct. No. He has
if I remember the list correctly, like you got top 10, you got Satoshi Nakamoto. We assume he's an individual. Rest of the 9 are actually all corporations and countries. So
but he has his own stack of Bitcoins as well. I'm not sure.
His own stack of?
But he openly says that in Twitter. Yeah. He openly mentions it on Twitter.
Okay, yeah. I was just kind of curious, like, what's the percentage with himself, him as Michael Saylor, and what is the Bitcoin under MicroStrategy as a company? So
I would like to.
I know you're digging into details. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great question. I would like to think maybe he has less than 5% of what MicroStrategy has. This is what I would like to think. I don't think he'll have more than 5% of what MicroStrategy has. But nonetheless, let's say if there was unfortunately something were to happen to him, the news spreads in, social media. That gives impacts, isn't it? So rather than, despite the Bitcoins being completely safe, I mean, this is just what my thought process is, speculation. Maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, that is even better, isn't it?
That's a good speculation. No, good stuff. I like this. This is no, thank you. This is keeping my juice is going. Like, really think some of this is true. And I ask some good questions. This is a good session. So yeah, man. Hey, thank you, Milton. Thank you. Yeah. All right, please, George, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, the next thing I wanted to touch base is, regarding a Bitcoin and crypto presidential advisory role. Now, this week, the CEO of Coinbase, that is Brian Armstrong, he had a meeting with President Donald Trump. But what is a bit interesting is that Wall Street Journal said that this was a private meeting. If it was a private meeting, how did they publish it? But so it is no longer a private meeting, isn't it? But anyways, I'm not sure who's going to be selected for that role. Will it be Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase? Because Charles Hoskinson, the co-founder of Ethereum and the founder of IOHK and Cardano, he actually had a Twitter space or X space where he said that, IOHK is setting up an office at Washington, D.C., and they will be helping the government. He put it across in a completely different word. Now, I'm trying to, be a bit cheeky, Marcos. Because of the announcement, the price of ADA pumped up by 30%.
I know.
That is kind of like market manipulation if, let's say, he's not, or IOHK also is not part of Bitcoin
I don't think so.
advisory role. I'm hoping it is not, yeah.
I don't think so, though. I get, I don't think he's, okay, I know some of our friends who are in Ethereum and stuff would say that, market manipulation, all that stuff. I don't think so. But again, I don't know what's all the legal stuff and all. I mean, I don't care. But at least, okay, we both know, Charles Hawkinson, right? I have also met him last year too. At M2, this grand event. I mean, he was very cordial, very nice. He actually introduced himself to me, which is I felt that was a very pleasant experience because my buddy Declan from Block Delta, he was there with me. So yeah, I mean, we all know, he's been quite active in talking to regulators and stuff. And good example is, the CEO of Cardano Foundation, Derek. They have been, going to Argentina. They're talking to the Dubai police. Here in the Dubai, the UAE, and all that stuff. So it's not a surprise, to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised that folks in Cardano too, who have a very strong relationships with the scientific community in the United States. So and some of those folks, just like with Oort, Dr. Max Lee, he's a professor at Columbia University. So they do have good relationships with people in DC, in terms of scientific progress, a lot of advocacy. And, I think to me, Charles, he is he's really a great advisor. And I know some good friends of mine would say he's a good talker, which makes a lot of sense. I think in terms of I know.
I think if Trump really wants to hit the nail, man, I can only think of Andreas Antonopoulos. That'll be like Bitcoin advisory role. Second would be David Bailey from Bitcoin Magazine. I think he would be spot on. Even Charles Hoskinson is great, or even Brian Armstrong is great as well. Marcus.
I guess because when it comes to Andreas and Top, just for the sake of the conversation, I know he has a long name. Technically, that guy's really good, but I guess my problem with him is that I don't think he is that politically savvy. He tends to be quite left-leaning in some senses. So if you're going to be an advisor in the government, that's the thing. So Brian Armstrong, I can see that because he started from the bottom with Coinbase. He was scrappy, but hey, I mean he has grown quite well. I mean he's a tough cookie, so I can see him also doing that. And Charles too. I mean he's also quite a politically savvy guy as well too. To be honest, I mean even though he can be nerdy a bit, but he has done his rounds. So. With some of these politicians.
Milton has made a comment that
we missed out.
You can't own Bitcoin.
He can't because he owns Bitcoin. You can't own crypto and hold a position in government.
That's definitely not true, Milton. I mean, J.D. Vance has Bitcoin.
So even Vivek Ramaswamy.
Has a lot of. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has a lot of.
He has.
Gary has a lot of Bitcoin as well. Yeah, Gary Gensler. I still call him the OG of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, So I don't think so. That statement is actually true. A lot of them do actually have it. Now, Marcus, I actually listened to President Donald Trump's speech at the Bitcoin National event, and he did not mention anything about a Bitcoin and Crypto Council. But there is an article which is published by Reuters that talks about a Bitcoin and Crypto Council. I would definitely have heard that for the first time. And there's an article which is published that talks about that Ripple, Kraken, and Circle. They want to be part of the Bitcoin and Crypto Council. I'm not sure if that news is legitimate or not, because I did actually read through the article, and the article actually talks about the speech that President Donald Trump made. And in the speech, he definitely did not make any mention about the council. And I immediately sent you a list of the things, Marcus, the moment he went live, isn't it? That these are the key highlights. So. So let's see.
That's interesting. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
So those are some macro level news. I mean, I don't see the prices of Bitcoin cryptocurrencies going down. The only other thing I can think of is, and this is in March of 2025, Marcus, and we talked about this few times, is because what's happened is that on March of 2024, 880,000 jobs were added intentionally or maliciously by the left-leaning administration. And the way how CPR is calculated, that 880,000 jobs will be deducted in March of 2025. So, for the month of March and for the month of April, it will show that the inflation has pumped up to the roof. But this was because of an intentional error by the Biden administration. Looks like they were trying to cheat the system. They got caught. So 880,000 jobs will be deducted no matter what President Donald Trump does. And mainstream media is just going to bounce on that, isn't it? And they are going to be talking about that the economy is not doing that great. And I'm pretty much sure that'll definitely pull down the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to a certain extent. And that's one of the reasons why, so critical that we look at information from first source and gives us a much better idea. But apart from US markers, let's talk about one massive news from Dubai's VARA, that is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority. And the moment I saw that news, I immediately sent you a message via Telegram, isn't it? Because this is a really, really interesting news. And this is more for people, who are offering virtual asset service provider license in Dubai. So there's an official document which is put out by Dubai's VARA, that is Dubai Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority. And it is the update, and they have updated the list of high-risk jurisdiction subject to a call for action and the list of jurisdictions under increased monitoring. So there's a lot of things that we need to be aware about, especially when we talk about offering virtual asset service provider license, particularly in Dubai and UAE and in the MENA region. Me personally, when I saw it, I didn't like it. But at the same time, when there is a centralized entity involved, you have to follow these rules, isn't it? At a protocol level, let's say at the Bitcoin network level or the blockchain level, these rules will not be applicable as such, but so far as centralized entities are concerned, they definitely have to go and follow that. And one of the things, Marcus, is AML and CFD compliance. The second and probably the most important one is due diligence measures. And if you actually go through the document, Marcus, which I think everyone who's offering virtual asset service provider license in Dubai have to go through it, they have to implement enhanced due diligence, also called as EDD protocols. And this is for transactions involving high-risk jurisdictions. So I'm not sure if they mentioned the list of countries which are in high-risk jurisdiction. So what that means is they will have to review the customer's profile, monitor for suspicious activities, and if I'm not mistaken, even go and block a couple of transactions as well. So,
man, that's a low, man, dude. I just lost my breath. I'm like, oh, good lord, like, man. Look, all I can say, okay, best of luck. I guess so. I don't know, man.
No, I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And I think Milton is saying that, they can't have Bitcoin because it is conflict of interest. Not at all true. They can definitely have Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I think we are talking about a conflict of interest when you talk about share prices and share markets.
Yeah.
In case of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, you 100% can have Bitcoin. President Donald Trump has so many NFTs and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and he's the topmost position in the government, isn't it? So yeah, you can definitely have Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies at any governmental position, particularly in the US. And going back to Dubai's VARA, Marcus, they've also put out a link to official FATF list, and centralized exchanges in particular. They should ensure that the transactions have to make sure that the addresses that are in the FATF list. Based on my understanding, they have to go and block the account, and this is just my opinion. I hope I'm not wrong on that. So FATF list is in US. I think it is the Department of Justice. They have an FATF list with a public address of notorious people who are using money for illicit activities. So if a miner goes ahead and approves these transactions, they're kind of breaking the law. And I'm not sure, Marcus, if you remember when Ethereum transitioned from Ethereum to Ethereum 2.0, more than 60% of the transactions were FATF compliant, isn't it? So a lot of the OGs of Bitcoin, even Ethereum, they definitely did not like it because it is exactly what the banking industry is doing.
Yeah. Strange times. Strange.
Yeah. The only thing I can say regarding regulation, Marcus says, and this is purely to do with, device Vara, is that regulations are great as long as, they protect customers, as long as they ensure that a safe market operates, and as long as it protects investors. The three things, isn't it?
I get it, yeah. See, that part, in that spirit, I agree to it. I'm just pessimistic. I'm negative about it because, like, like, what we see in the United States, in India, like in the Western world or whatever. But I guess in government in general too, like, they say that, because this is a conversation I had with a buddy of mine about the regulators, like, their main purpose is to protect the consumers, protect the masses. In spirit, I get that. But, like, a lot of times, I mean, like, when it comes to in the area of innovation, they haven't really protected the masses. They have always protected the incumbents of, the past or whatever. So, I'm always like, sort of, I can't think of the right word. I'm always weary when when it comes to regulators and stuff. Do they really care about it and stuff? I don't know. I mean, time will tell. But I guess, look, people will make mistakes along the way and stuff. I mean, regulators are also human. They're human beings. They're going to make mistakes and stuff. Sometimes they take, like, almost a year to understand your business model and your tech and stuff. So it is challenging. So, I mean, but I also understand from the flip side as well. So, I do have a heart, guys. So, just saying.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to, Gary Gensler. I mean, he knew what was going on in FTX, but rather than taking action, he let it continue for such a long time, and that is because they were the second highest donors, if I'm not mistaken, to Joe Biden.
We see enough proof too. I mean, see, there are also many folks in government and also outside the intelligence groups too. They recognize that, hey, look, there's a lot of money that was getting funneled through FTX to Ukraine and stuff. So, like, a lot of people are ignoring that. So, like, yeah, sure, in some cases, okay, the G baby Gary Gensler, definitely knows Bitcoin and stuff, but but again, like, this guy has done some things, like, on the political level, also government level, legal level too. He should be going to jail and stuff. So yeah, he may know about Bitcoin. He has done, talk about blockchain stuff. He is obviously knowledgeable, and that's a fact too, because he has a professional responsibility. Like, hey, you know what? Like, this is actually wrong. So, what he did, and it is obvious that he was playing politics, and his politics has hurt, and other connections he has, they are doing fine. They are all like, operating outside, the you and me level, but we have to face the consequences. We have to pay the price, and this is where, like, I can see why, like, Eric Voorhees, a lot of libertarians, a lot of the ANCAPs, and also your, I would say, conservatarians and maybe the classical liberals, they are not happy with Gary Gensler whatsoever, especially with his politics. They do not, we have some friends who are on the left too, but not to a point where, like, you sell out the country and stuff. So, like, they're like, hold on, wait a minute, this ain't right. Like, nah. So, I can see the discontent, the disappointment. So, because they know, like, hey, like, just like George, you've seen his videos in MIT and stuff. Like, he does know a lot of that stuff. He cannot be bullshitting us. Like, we see that too. So, we're watching you. So.
And one of the things is, I specifically remember Coinbase. They did actually ask Gary Gensler in advance, can you tell us what is the documentation, what is the procedure required? And they were not getting any response, and so did Kraken as well. So at one side, Gary Gensler used to say that, ask us, we're always here to answer any of your queries before going in and launching any products. But when they do that, they tend to get low response. But that thing being said, Marcus, just on a side note, people should also remember that it was President Donald Trump's former SEC chair, who I think was Jay Clayton, isn't it?
No,
During
I
the
remember,
last few days of his administration, he put a lot of restrictions on cryptocurrencies as well. Now, look, I'm a huge fan of President Donald Trump, but I think he was the one who actually started the court case between Ripple and SEC, not Gary Gensler.
Yep, that's true.
So,
yeah. So I know both sides. Okay, they have their own bullshit too.
Yeah.
So I know even So that's there. So this is we got to put there's a lot of people got to put their feet on the fire. So
and Marcus,
I'm just hoping that.
Based my experience, 100 crypto projects, how many of them would you say outright scam, Marcus? What do you think, based on your experience? Attending events, having the crypto meetup events? I would say 80%. I would openly say 80%.
I guess so, yeah.
This includes NFTs and meme coins and everything. I'm talking about everything.
I know. If it's okay, are they there are some who are sort of obviously would be straight up scam or something. I think for my experience, because most of these events have a lot of eyeballs and stuff, I would say a lot of these projects didn't really have a great wow effect or a great use case, I guess. So this is where they're not outright scams. They were just like, do we need that? Or I also felt that they are like a solution searching for a problem.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets really murky, it gets really twisted and stuff. So I mean, look, I've seen so many projects, they fail and stuff. But then again, these are startups, and this is what's going to happen. So, but yeah. But are there? Have I come across some scammy projects? Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah. I guess it depends on how you define scammy and stuff. So there was some I felt what the heck?
Yeah, maybe not.
But also, I got a bad vibe from these founders too. But rest of the projects and stuff, I felt I don't know, it's okay. I don't know if there's any great use case and stuff, but I think I was a lot of I'm judging these projects based on the founders because they are startups, and a lot of these startups it's all based on the strength and the character of the founding members and the team. And that's where you got to trust your intuition, your insights, and also experience, working with other great founders too. How do they match? And there's a big gap. So, to be honest.
Yeah, in most of the cases, the intentions might be great, but maybe they were not understanding what blockchain technology is. And I very specifically remember, Marcus, in 2016, this was 3 weeks before the halving at the Emirates Tower. There was a competition where they were asking people to, build something on blockchain technology. And the guests or, the judges, they were so great. I think they were Emiratis, and they kept on asking, can you explain where does blockchain technology fit into this? And out of the 10, 9 of them, they didn't have any answer. And he was like, we can do this on a centralized system as well, isn't it? And he was just kind of, all of these projects were just being dismissed. So, this goes back to, what we discussed in one of the sessions, the pillars of open blockchain, understanding what double spending is, so on and so forth. But now, Marcos, let's talk about, which I think is probably the biggest event in 2024, and that is Chainlink. I don't know, man. I think they've been making quite a lot of partnership, and the more I'm trying to read through it, at least on paper, it is turning out to be probably the biggest thing in 2024. And we've been talking about Chainlink quite a lot.
Oh yeah, so especially Becca too.
Yeah. What we can do is maybe next week, if you're free, we can maybe try to release an episode only on cross-chain interoperability protocol. So what our listeners can do is look at Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol, because they are working on interoperability with different blockchains and how the different consensus mechanism works. And they are pretty much in everything. They are in the DeFi space, tokenization space, traditional finance, interoperability. And the news essentially is that they've also partnered with World Liberty Finance Token. So, that is another game changer for them. And Brazil, they have announced that they're implementing Chainlink's CCIP for the central bank digital currency project as well. So what our listeners can do is there's a link called chainlink.cross-chain. And what we can do is, Marcus, we can maybe utilize Notebook LLC and maybe release an episode using that.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about the Notebook LLC because I think I was completely blown away, Marcus, and I often keep sending you DM regarding Notebook LLC. So what our listeners can do is, if you go to Notebook LLC, which is a new AI, I'm not sure the right terminology. I think it is ChatGPT on steroids. So we go to Notebook LLM. Notebook
let me
LM
just
by
create a banner.
Yeah. Notebook LM by Google.
Yeah, that's the link. Yeah, so it's Notebook LM. Yeah.
Yep. You just put in your link, upload a document, and it creates an entire podcast. So what I have actually done is I literally put Chainlink's cross-chain website where everything is mentioned. And it has created a podcast which is 26 minutes long, and their conversation where they're explaining what Chainlink CCIP is. And maybe when we go live next week, we'll try to steal some words from them and let's try to go out and incorporate it.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you actually go to try Notebook, create the top, So this is, I don't know anything about it. So you can upload a document, you can just put in a website. That's it, Marcos, and your podcast is ready. I mean, the content, based on my experience, the content is absolutely great. I'm not sure if you can copy paste. Yeah, maybe we can copy paste it. That's a good idea, right? And it will
give it a shot. Let's see what we can.
Is there a section to paste?
All right.
I tried to paste it. Maybe. Yeah, if you click on generate on the right side, that's it, and an episode will be ready in the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I guess the way I see Notebook LM, it's actually kind of like your personal research assistant. Yeah. That's what it really is. So. Okay.
Yeah, so it definitely take a while. Yeah, it might take a bit of time, I think so. But see, the thing is, you can even close that page. You don't even have to keep that page open. You'll just go and do it ready. So maybe next week we can go and do a standalone episode only talking about Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol. It'd be great if Pekka can join as well because he likes Chainlink, isn't it?
Oh, let's do that. Yeah. No, let's do that. Let's definitely want to have him on our show. I mean, look, he's a massive advocate for Chainlink. So definitely someone who knows about Chainlink, that's him. Like he's my go-to guy. He's a guru. Like he's been from Web 1, Web 2, Web 2.5, and he's that Web 3. So
even if even blockchains BlackRock's Biddle, that also is implementing Chainlink, isn't it? The tokenization platform, the tokenized platform. Yeah, Chainlink is definitely doing great in 2024. Now let's talk about the general cryptocurrency market volume markers. All the numbers are off the roof, except for decentralized finance. Along with decentralized finance, unfortunately, Marcos, even the market cap of privacy coins isn't that great. Rest all the metrics are great because I tend to look at these numbers, for my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast. But decentralized finance, the numbers are so decentralized finance is kind of stable in a way with a ridiculously low volume. So I keep asking this question, is DeFi dead? Because the fact is, the price of Bitcoin is pumped up by almost 5 times, but decentralized finance volume is exactly the same as what it was going back to 2022, 2023. Nothing has absolutely changed. And unfortunately, Marcos, privacy coins market cap is not looking good either. But regarding decentralized finance, there's a teeny tiny hope. And this is MakerDAO. They have rebranded to Sky.money. And we talked about this. I think we had a guest as well. I think it was Paul, I think so, where he talked about identity. That's the time when we discussed about Sky.money. Yeah. But the news is that they have launched a stable coin and it is currently live on Solana blockchain. So essentially, MakerDAO is transitioned from Ethereum to Solana now. So that I think is a really, really great move as well. And if DeFi has to survive or make a massive move, I think it should be Sky.money. So let's see if Sky protocol launching on Solana is a game changer and it does actually resurrect the whole DeFi space. And apart from that, the AI tokens or tokens that were connected to decentralized physical infrastructure, they did actually go down on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because apparently everyone wanted to buy Bitcoin only.
Yeah.
So a lot of the altcoins did actually go down. A lot of the altcoins on Tuesday did actually go down, but it did actually pop up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, who's to say if the price of Bitcoin is heading, let's say, towards $200,000 or $300,000? A lot of the investment that is going into artificial intelligence does actually start going into Bitcoin, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's possible. Not surprised though. It's just you're seeing a lot of capital, even because I know, like from the pricey side too, a lot of the capital has moved into Bitcoin, and once it hits the high mark or whatever, then you'll see it, come to all coins, including pricey coins. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, because I remember when the whole metaverse hype was there, a lot of investment was actually flowing into metaverse.
Yeah.
And, look at cryptocurrency blockchain projects, they were struggling with investments. And a lot of them were actually putting in a lot of their funding into metaverse. And 90% of the investors, unfortunately, have lost money.
I know. Oh, God. Just, don't get me started with the metaverse thing, man. Oh, God.
And I do think, Marcus, so far as metaverse is concerned, I do think it will eventually happen, and it might actually happen in less than a decade's time. So how it would actually work is, you would have something similar to a glass, like the glasses that we wear. That's about all.
Yeah, like augmented reality then. Yeah.
But it'll be much, much smaller because they already have a prototype of that. It's ridiculously expensive. So it is literally like putting on your sunglasses. So imagine doing your podcast, just putting by sunglasses. So eventually it will be lenses. And, I think that is definitely going to happen. But it's going to take maybe less than a decade, I definitely do feel so. Because the investment that Meta is putting, I'm not sure if you know, but Meta is still concretely focusing on that, and they're heavily focusing on
that. Yeah.
And the number of participation is definitely improving as well. They have a podcast in that also called a Studio 44, where a lot of people are actually listening to podcasts that exist only in the metaverse. Because I'm not sure if you can convert that and put it onto Spotify because you won't get the user experience. But going back to AI, I think a lot of investments did actually go down just for 24 hours, but it's the prices of those tokens are bumped up. But one anomaly that is to do with Dogecoin. And Dogecoin, the prices were going down, but the large transactions, they have seen a drastic bump by 41%. So the Doge army will be really bumped up, specifically with, the Doge, that is Department of Government Efficiency, with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy being involved. I think next year the prices should definitely be bumping up even higher, isn't it?
Yeah. Not surprised though,
Yeah, I think you've covered pretty much everything. And this is the last thing, Marcus, and this is with your area of expertise, which is artificial intelligence with Oort Foundation. There's a really interesting report which is published by AWS regarding artificial intelligence in Middle East, and talks about what is going on in UAE and Saudi Arabia. And the report is called as Unlocking the Full Potential of AI in the Middle East. And they have shown some really, really interesting metrics that 88% of organizations in UAE and Saudi Arabia are investing in AI, and they've seen a drastic improvement in performance. But only 37% of UAE organizations have a responsible AI policy. So what is your thought, Marcus, regarding having regulations and policies so far as artificial intelligence is concerned? Do you think there should be regulations, not regulations, or?
I guess I don't know. Well, I guess at this current time, I guess for this part of the world, I think you want to have minimal regulations, just to see how things grow, things happen, things grow, and all that stuff. But I think this is an opportunity for companies over here to create their own, say, like their own AI councils and stuff. So that way, like, because like it's a good way to like work with other companies, learn to be responsible, take proactive actions, together, to make their respective industries better, so yeah, I think in that regard, I would love to see the percentage of organizations having a responsible or like an ethical AI policy rise up much more higher. So that way, like, it doesn't put a lot of the burden on regulators and stuff, because already it's hard to keep up and stuff. So the ones, because if you look at like some of the softwares and all that stuff, a lot of it is done by these arbitration courts in Hong Kong and some other places. I could see this happen over here, and why not have a similar arbitration within, like, between peers of companies working together. So I would love to see that happen, and yeah, so at least see that way, like, it's I think it's important for companies like us also take some responsibilities as well. This is because we understand the the burden of innovation. Like, it is tough. So who knows is better than the AI companies itself? I know it is counterintuitive. You need like some sort of like big government and stuff, but I'm sorry. Like, I think that there are small enterprises, other companies, um, who would want to take these responsibilities, and they want to make the industry better. So because they are thinking on a long-term perspective, not like in the current Web3 scenario, everyone's thinking like 2 years or something. Like here at Oort, we are thinking like 30 years plus. I mean, this is something like Dr. Maxley has been harping upon, has been talking about it. Look, we have to think long term. This is this is no time for like small, not small, short time frames. We want to be the big boys. We got to think 30 years plus.
And sometimes, Marcus, I feel maybe Elon Musk has solved a lot of the problem just by keeping the source code of Twitter completely open source. Maybe if that thing is done for AI, I think we have solved the majority of the problem, isn't it? Because, Marcus, even in this notebook LM by Google, like I try to type very specifically my own documentation stating that, President Donald Trump is the best person. That is the reason why the price of Bitcoin is pumping up. But the podcast is just not saying that. They're refraining, just praising Trump for absolutely anything. So I'm sure there's some codes written in that, which is saying that we can't praise him, so on and so forth. And I try to do this exercise with my niece as well in ChatGPT 4.0. I'm not sure if you've tried it, Marcus. If you actually type in, can you write about white race? It will not give you an answer. But if you say the same thing, can you write about black race? It writes a beautiful article stating that the black race is beautiful. It is, great for the society. So that means that ChatGPT is racist, isn't it? Reverse racism is racism.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true. See, I would recommend you to try out Venice.ai.
Yeah.
That one is interesting because they do have the uncensored model. So try that out and see. So
yeah, that is definitely better than using ChatGPT 4.0 as well, isn't it? Definitely.
So, and they have made some great improvements, adding characters, adding more models in the image coding, and also the text as well. So great to see that.
And pretty fast as well, I think. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think that's about all, Marcus. We have done pretty much everything, isn't it? I'm not sure there's much to cover. And the only thing I can say is for listeners in the UAE, if they need any additional help on AI, Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence, they have quite a lot of AI resources. And recently they've been making quite a lot of partnerships as well. So, may want to go and check it out. If I'm not mistaken, they had a certification which was completely free of cost. I think it was a 5-day certification. I did apply for it, but I got rejected. They said that, they've selected other people to go and offer training. Maybe these guys are people who are already working in the AI field or something. There are loads of events for MBCUAI, Mohammed bin Zayed University for Artificial Intelligence. Yeah, I think that's about all, Marcus, isn't it? You've covered pretty much everything. Do you have any update from Oort Foundation and Society X?
Yeah, well, actually, I just want to make an announcement that Oort is a media partner for Ethereum Riyadh that's taking place on December 1st to December 3rd. First and second will be the physical event that's taking place in Riyadh, and the third, December 3rd, is your online hackathons and stuff. So I'll be in Riyadh from the 29th, next Friday actually. This Friday, by this time I'll be at the airport, and I'll be there for like 5 days. So if you're in Riyadh, let's meet up at Ethereum Riyadh. That's taking place at the Holiday Inn. Laya Street, I guess. It's actually organized by one of our Society X members, co-founder actually, Xiaohu from Chain ID. So, he's been with Ethereum for a long time. He's one of the most important players in bringing Ethereum to China. So, really fascinating, really amazing. So, definitely an important guy to connect with and work with. So honored to be part of that experience. So I'm really stoked about it, and bringing the gospel of decentralized AI to the MENA region. And what I mean by gospel, it basically means the good news, and using decentralized AI in all aspects. And our goal is to bring the spirit of blockchain, the spirit of Web3, the philosophy into the AI space, bringing transparency in terms of data collection, data labeling, data pre-processing. So excited to have those conversations, and hope to build some really good, cool partnerships in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So I'm excited about it. So that's the update we have. And I believe some of my colleagues would be going to Taipei for the Taiwan Blockchain Week. I don't know when it is, but Taiwan is a interesting country as well. They do have high usage of crypto. So, and the reason I say that is because I used to work for Bing X, and Bing X started in Taiwan. So
they're definitely one of the best countries so far. Chips and nano processing chips are concerned, isn't it?
Tell me about it. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Man, you hit the money right there, sir.
Yep. And while you'll be in Saudi Arabia, I'll be in the middle of a desert doing a Spartan World Championship for the 4th time in a row. So if any of the listeners are interested into obstacle course race, I do have an interview scheduled on Wednesday with the CEO Spartan race, that is Joe Cena. And maybe there's talks with UAE Bank Federation to release a couple of episodes with them, so they've contacted me. I'm not sure if it is going to be connected to cryptocurrency and blockchain as such, because the topics are completely different. So, going to be talking about, what is it that they're doing so far, strategic initiative on governance, cybersecurity, risk management, their insights into how UAE banks are building resilience in the face of new challenges, and I'm sure they're going to be talking about AI as well. So that is what you can expect from the Blockchain DXB podcast for the next 2 weeks. And let's try to do next week, Marcus, if you're free. Maybe we can release a standalone episode on Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol. But other than that, I think hoping that the price of Bitcoin touches the $100,000 mark, maybe in the next couple of hours. Well, let's see, what is it right now?
I guess all we can do is just be aggressively patient.
It is at $99,094 via coin market cap.
Let me just open this bad boy right here. All right. Okay. I guess on Bybit it shows 98,000. 905 point. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, on CoinGecko it is showing 99,000.
Okay. I'm just looking at Bybit. So, every exchange will have like a different, obviously, different, price points and stuff. That's natural. That's this is just, now I'm just seeing like, lots of greens, one red. Like, I guess for the ones I'm looking at, let's see.
I mean, if you go and look at the numbers, the numbers are looking really, really good. If you look at the 24-hour volume, if you look at the volume of stablecoins, if you look at the volume of decentralized exchanges, in the past, Markose, it used to only be Uniswap whose volume used to cross the $1 billion mark. And I used to cover the top 5 daily in my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast, the top 5 decentralized exchanges. But now, 4 out of the top 5, their 24-hour volume is well over $1 billion mark. So this just shows the power of, the outcome of the year's election, I guess. It's going to be really interesting to see, how the world reacts for the next few days. And hopefully we don't have any war escalating. But other than that, I think pretty much good to go so far. So far, Bitcoin is heading towards $100,000 in my opinion. Might just happen today.
Yeah. But hey, that's about it, folks. So thank you guys for joining in here at the Unfiltered Chat, your weeklies in crypto, blockchain, and AI. So that's about it, folks. Thank you for joining in. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe, and we will talk to you soon. Bye for now.